As a law enforcement officer, I attest that my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all persons to ensure liberty, equality, and justice.
Welcome to Gainesville PD On Duty, where we take you behind the badge of the Gainesville Police Department. My name is Officer Ben Tobias, and I'm the agency spokesperson. Each month, I usually invite a different officer to join me in the studio so you can meet the members of the agency, but the viewers have spoken, and I listen. We had numerous requests to bring Officer Lisa Orengo back to the show, and that's just what we've done. So welcome back to the show, Lisa. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me back. Since my last visit, I've had a change of assignment. Earlier this year, I applied for and was selected to be GPD's accreditation manager. I'm now in charge of preparation for the accreditation process as well as maintaining GPD's policies and procedures. It's been an exciting new challenge in my career.
Well, I hope the viewers will leave me alone now that you're back for at least another episode. I'm happy to have you back as well. Our show today focuses on recognizing frauds and scams. Then we talk about GPD's UF football game day operations. Then we finish by talking about how to stay safe once Halloween gets here. Frauds and scams are not new. Criminals have been trying to get other people's hard-earned money for quite a long time, and some go to great lengths to do so. As technology advances, so do their opportunities to take your hard-earned money. These folks prey on your emotions and sometimes greed to take advantage of you and get your money. I recently sat down with Detective Sergeant Nick Farrar to learn some of the current scams we see and how to recognize and avoid them. Let's see what he has to say.
I'm Detective Sergeant Nick Farrar with the Gainesville Police Department. I've been in my current position for about 18 months. I've been with the department for approximately 19 years. I currently oversee the financial crimes unit. Some people call it economic crimes. Basically, my team investigates all property crimes with the exception of different types of burglaries. So I see a wide variety of scams that involve all different techniques, all different types of victims, whether you're old, young, a student, retired. They run the gamut. Everybody gets victimized by this. I think people fall for scams because the criminal in this case, they're exploiting them. As far as they use greed, they use fear, whether it's fear of arrest, if it's an IRS scam, fear that your power is going to be shut off. A lot of them start out to where it looks like a legitimate deal, and at some point during that deal, it turns bad for the victim, and it's not legitimate, and they end up getting defrauded. Sometimes it could be a few $100s, and sometimes several $100,000. Do not send out any of your personal information. Protect it, as your most important asset. Your financial information, your PayPal information. I read tons of reports where people just give up this information because they trust the other person on the other end of that email, and they end up using that information to funnel money through your PayPal account or your bank account. That's their ultimate goal. They want to take something that's counterfeit and not legitimate and work it through, a legitimate account. And in the end, that person ends up paying for it, and the suspect ended up, making out like a bandit. If they're asking for currency that's in the form of a Green Dot card, iTunes card, some form of gift card, normally businesses don't want that. And I've seen them to where IRS scams, we have the utility company scams, like GRU and other power companies. They want money. They want a check, cash. They don't want iTunes cards. They don't want Green Dot cards. They want you to most likely to show up at their office and pay for what you owe. So other red flags as far as scams, especially using Craigslist. If you're selling an item and the buyer decides to send you a check that is in an amount well over what you're asking for and then asks you to send that money or wire that money, that's probably going to be a scam. Because why doesn't that person themselves arrange to have the item picked up or shipped? One of the scams on Craigslist as far as people seeking employment would be the infamous secret shopper scam, to where somebody is communicated or contacted via email, text message. A lot of times it's multiple email addresses. That person will be given the job, and then they'll be sent a check. Could be several $1,000s that they're supposed to use to become a secret shopper somewhere. What ends up turning out is that person or that victim will take that check, take it to their bank, deposit it, and then wire the money, sometimes thousands of dollars, as some type of fee as far as being employed. And the next thing you know, the bank will notify them that that check is counterfeit, and they're ultimately responsible for it. I would say if you've never played the Jamaican lottery or the Canadian lottery, you probably didn't win it. So if you get contacted via email or Facebook or some other means, and you're asked to start sending money in order to claim your prize, that's probably a red flag. If you notice that there's this urgency to keep you on the phone, or they're using fear that somebody's injured or your power's going to be turned off, or you're contacted on email by somebody that you know, before you wire that money to them, call them up and make sure that was a real email. They really sent you a message on Facebook. And we had a case at a local church to where somebody that was in charge of money ended up receiving 2 separate emails about wire transfers in the several $1,000 range, and ended up, without calling that person up and verifying any of that information, ended up sending close to $100,000 to an account that most likely is somewhere outside the country. Where these scams are originating, some are within the United States, if we're lucky, sometimes in Florida, but I would say a good portion of them, they're routed through all different types of IP addresses, and the ones that we do work very thoroughly will end up going overseas. And the unfortunate thing is, a lot of the times those companies that are overseas in different countries, they don't have to honor our subpoenas. So it's very difficult to track some of these guys. They take many steps to conceal what they're doing and who they are. Currently, I have 2 detectives that work solely economic crimes. I have a 3rd detective that just works phone forensics, because a lot of these cases, if we end up getting a victim's phone or a suspect's phone, we need to pull information off of that. So he's very valuable in that department. As far as the prevalency of the scams and frauds that we get here at the Gainesville Police Department, I'd say it's very prevalent. That's why we have 2 detectives that work full-time just working these types of cases. I wish we had more so we could make a bigger dent in this and come to a much better conclusion for these victims in these cases. As far as trying to get the message across, yeah, it can be difficult if you have a bulleted outline with all the tips in there. Nobody wants to read it. Everybody's got a short attention span these days. That's why I love the fact that I love looking at memes. I laugh at them all the time. And if we can get our word out and send a good message just to prevent some of these crimes by sending out a funny, catchy meme, I'm all for it. I've been known to use humor in the past, so yeah, I think humor is a great tool. No matter what scam it is, the money is funneled through you, and the loss ultimately ends up in your court. They'll send fake checks, goes into your account, you deposit it, they'll use that urgency, and you have to send it right away. You send it, and then weeks later, you're notified. When in doubt, wait and to see if that check clears. Not just a few days, but just wait for it to, maybe a few weeks. That person can wait, that suspect can wait. A lot of these, I think, can be prevented if you simply just pick up the phone and speak to that person if you know them and trust them enough.
The biggest thing to remember about recognizing frauds and scams, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. After a short break, we'll show you behind the scenes of how we handle the largest events in Gainesville, Gators football home games. Stay with us. Gainesville PD on duty, we'll be right back.
Burglaries and robberies have become serious concerns in our city. This crime is referred to as a crime of opportunity because most criminals look for the path of least resistance. Protect yourself. Don't become a target. Lock your doors and keep expensive items out of plain view.
For crime prevention information, go to GainesvillePD.org. or call the Gainesville Police Department's Crime Prevention Office at 334-2479. Protect yourself. Don't become
I actually don't remember anything from the accident. Crossing the intersection of 13th Street and 39th Avenue, and a truck pulled out in front of me. Wearing all black also doesn't help, so I was wearing all black. I had a son behind me. My head went full force into the hood of the truck that pulled out in front of me. I would definitely not be here if I hadn't been wearing a helmet. I would still ride again, but I would ride knowing that I risk my life every time I get on the bike. I think everyone should know that.
I will maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule, develop self-restraint, and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life, I will be exemplary in obeying the laws of the land and the regulations of my department. Together, as a community, we foster order, safety, and freedom.
Welcome back to Gainesville PD On Duty. Each fall, Gainesville has 7 Saturdays where the largest events possible are held on UF's campus. We're obviously talking about Gator's home football games.
The Gainesville Police Department is one of several local law enforcement agencies that provide security to 90,000 fans inside the stadium and thousands of others that enjoy the atmosphere along University Avenue and the surrounding neighborhoods.
Managing security for such a large operation is no small task. It takes months of planning and organization of hundreds of police officers. We like to think that we're similar to referees in a game, meaning that you know we're there, but if you don't notice our presence, then we're doing a good job.
We recently sat down with GPD Captain Jorge Campos and the Gators Assistant Athletic Director for Football Operations, Brian Flood, to learn more about how we keep you safe during the games.
Of all the events that are put on and sponsored in the city limits of Gainesville, football games by far attract the largest crowds than any other event.
Current capacity is listed at 88,000 plus. Our record home attendance was from Florida State this last fall in 2015 game, 90,914. 90,000 plus is a large amount of people in one event in one venue.
As the operations commander and the game day commander for GPD, I have to keep my eye on both what's going on outside in the city as well as what's going on in and around the stadium to ensure that we have the resources that are needed to handle any emergency or critical incident that occurs in the city at that time. This isn't something that's just put together in one day. The University of Florida's Emergency Management Department, along with the University of Florida Police Department, the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, all the agencies that are involved, all get together and pre-season with the University Athletic Association and talk about the game plan.
Our game day operations staff works closely with our public safety officials, putting together the safety and security, public safety game day plan for each and every game day to ensure the safety of all the fans and everybody attending the events.
In addition to the University Police Department and obviously the Gainesville Police Department, the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, the Marion County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol are all agencies that work with the University Police Department in providing security. There's also partnerships with the Florida National Guard for some of their specialized units, as well as some other state agencies that have bomb dogs and that help with searching the stadium and vehicles that are coming and going from the stadium. There are a lot of responsibilities for me at the game, but I have a lot of faith in my supervisors. My assistant commander for the games is Lieutenant Joe Rollerson, and he does an awesome job of ensuring that we have the personnel that we need and the personnel is doing what they need to be doing. He works closely with UPD's assistant commander, which is Lieutenant Alton McDilda, and they coordinate and communicate with one another frequently throughout the game. There are a lot of security measures being taken place here at the stadium. The closer we get to kickoff, the more security personnel, civilian, non-sworn personnel are brought in, and there is a whole operations plan put together and an incident action plan put together so we can provide the safest environment as possible. This year, we decided to close off a portion of West University Avenue in front of the stadium. The primary reason for that was for pedestrian and fan safety along that roadway. As anyone can imagine, there are thousands of people who come to Gainesville for the game, and that brings an increased amount of vehicular traffic as well as pedestrian traffic along University Avenue for people who are traversing to and from their tailgating spots, to and from the stadium itself. To shut the roadway down and allow for an easier traverse or an easier path back and forth from the neighborhood to the north of the stadium and to the stadium. The number of officers that we supply for game day operations fluctuates depending on the size of the crowd that's expected. So we can have anywhere from 85, 90 officers to 120 officers just from the Gainesville Police Department that is assigned to the game day operations. That is not counting the officers that are working regular shift in the city during the game. At the beginning of the game, we have many officers that are staffing all of the gates, and at the gates, what they are looking for are items that are considered contraband or prohibited items, any suspicious devices or weapons as fans are coming in.
Sometimes it may be a little inconvenient for certain folks. We understand that, we get that. But at the same time, overall, we have to look at the big picture of the event and make sure to protect the venue, to protect the event, to protect everybody coming to the game, and do everything we can possible to help ensure that safety and security when they come to the game.
Our presence in the stands is to ensure that people are able to enjoy the game and have fun without infringing upon the other fans around them. We have to sometimes remind folks that there's more than one person trying to enjoy the game. So we're trying to keep the decorum as level as possible. When some of our fans get a little overzealous, sometimes they have to be asked to calm down a little. Usually that's handled first by giving a warning and informing them what the rules are. And if that doesn't help, then we then ask them to leave. There's no alcohol allowed in the general seating area for the stands, so that's one violation that we frequently see. There's no smoking or vaping allowed in the stadium. Disorderly conduct, fighting, over intoxication. If you're too intoxicated, you'll be asked to leave. Those are the type of things that we're asked to intervene on. So the field officers are there to prevent and deter folks from getting down onto the field level. They're also supposed to be watching the stands during the game because they may be able to spot something going on in the stands before the officers assigned to the sections can see them. It is considered a trespass violation if you get onto the field and you're not authorized to be on the field. No, our primary responsibility is to watch the stands. We also have to stay on our toes because players run out of bounds all the time. So when the play is getting closer and closer to where the officers are, they'll start to tend to stand to their side or look over their shoulder and watch what's going on so they don't get blindsided. So occasionally a ball will come in your direction.
Nice catch by the officer down there.
I was wondering what the cheer was.
He's telling everybody, you should have seen me in high school.
One of the GPD officers that was on the field happened to be in the right place at the right time.
It's kind of difficult not to satisfy the urge to reach out there and try and catch the ball. So that's what Vic did. Did a good job.
We'll have him down there. He can catch the ball anytime outside the field play.
To serve, protect, and catch.
At the conclusion of the game, I will make the decision in conjunction with the University of Florida to release those officers to their traffic posts. And there are two roads currently that we turn from two-way traffic to one-way traffic. That it's Gail Lemron Drive is turned southbound only for a period of time, and Southwest 2nd Avenue over by the law school is turned to one-way westbound to aid in getting the traffic out in a quicker manner. So those units need to leave the stadium a little earlier than when the game ends so they can set up their barricades and set up the traffic pattern so that as people are leaving, they can fall right in and get out of the area. There's a partnership with the City of Gainesville Traffic Operations Division. They control and monitor and maintain all of the traffic signals within the city. When you're putting thousands of cars on the road all at the same time, it can be very chaotic. And the plan that we put together is to try and move that traffic as quickly as possible so people can get to their destinations after the game. We have a command booth in the stadium. And inside of the command booth, we have our traffic engineers that have connection to the traffic cameras throughout the city. And we monitor the traffic patterns from those traffic cameras. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from fans, a lot of positive feedback from the residents in the neighborhood to the north. I think my absolute favorite part of working game day is the overall game experience. I'd hesitate to say there's one part of the game or even the pre-game activities that I like over anything else. I enjoy Gator Walk. I enjoy the fans having fun during Gator Walk. I enjoy being at the game, watching the game, and making sure that we're making the experience as safe and as enjoyable as possible for the fans.
I hope the last segment gave you a little insight into how we provide security for such a large crowd on game days. After the break, we'll finish the show with a segment on Halloween safety. Gainesville PD on duty will be right back.
The time of the accident, I did not have any protective gear on, and I never thought I'd be hit. The only thing that anybody driving a scooter or motorcycle can do is wear protective gear, because that's really something that could save your life. My scooter was totaled. I have no desire to get that fixed. I never want to see it again, and I will never ride a scooter again.
So you're cruising down the road and all of a sudden you spot flashing lights up ahead. Some sort of emergency vehicle, maybe a cop car, maybe an ambulance, maybe a tow truck is stopped on the side of the road with its flashing lights on. What do? If you answered, just keep right on going. Wrong. Sorry, try again. When an emergency vehicle or tow truck is stopped on the roadside with its lights flashing, it's your job to move over or slow down 20 miles per hour below the speed limit. That's right, move over and give them some room, or slow down if you just can't change lanes. That is unless you like paying tickets, because that's just what you'll get, a big, fat ticket. So here's the deal. Keep your eyes on the road at all times and watch the road up ahead, not just what's right in front of your hood. Anytime you see an emergency vehicle or tow truck on the side of the road, move over a lane or slow down to 20 miles per hour below the speed limit. Give them the space they need to do their job safely. Hey, these folks are looking out for you, so look out for them too, will you? Move over, Florida. It's the law. A message from the Florida Highway Patrol, paid for by the Florida Department of Transportation.
I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime and with relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately, without fear or favor, malice or ill will, and never employing unnecessary force.
Welcome back to Gainesville PD on duty. Those of you that know me personally know that this time of the year is my absolute favorite. I love seeing the pumpkin patches spring up all over town, and thankfully the weather's starting to slowly cool down. That also means that Halloween is right around the corner. I recently sat down with GPD's crime prevention officers to talk about how both families and college students can stay safe during this holiday. I hope you learn a tip or two to help keep you safe.
My name is Ernest Graham. I'm a crime prevention officer with the Gainesville Police Department. Crime prevention officers are sort of the educators of the police department. We go out and it is our goal to teach the public how to be safer, how to protect themselves, and how to protect their valuables. First of all, if possible, go trick-or-treating during daylight hours while the sun's still out. Most importantly, go out with your child. Don't let your child go out trick-or-treating alone. If possible, maybe go out as a group with other families. The more the merrier. I like the idea of pre-planning a route. That way you're sticking to areas that you know you're not going to find yourself somewhere that you're not familiar with. You're not going to get lost. When you're going trick-or-treating, make sure you have your cell phone on you. Make sure it's charged. Maybe have a second cell phone with another adult. And if possible, have a flashlight. When you're planning your route, make sure that you're planning a route that is well lit so that even if it's light when you go out, as it gets darker on your way home, you still have light. And if not, you have your flashlight as a backup. Drivers always have a lot of things on their mind. We have a lot of distractions in our cars now, cell phones, radios, Bluetooth. I think that means that the pedestrian needs to be extra vigilant when they're out walking, particularly during Halloween. No one wants to be the fashion police, but You want to make sure that your kids are wearing shoes that they can actually move around in, and if necessary, maybe even run. We can't all wear shoes that light up, but if you have some of those would be great. There's a lot of shoes out that have reflective material on them. That would be perfect. Also, you want to make sure that your kid doesn't have a mask that's gonna, block their vision. You want to make sure that their costume isn't so loose that they're gonna have difficulty walking in it. So visible and not too restrictive. Never go inside someone's house. I don't care how nice the person seems. You don't know what's in there. You don't know who they have living in there. The person answering the door may be super nice, but someone that's inside the house might not be so nice. Stay outside. Stay with your group. Never get inside of anyone's car, ever. Cars are mobile. If you get inside that car can take you somewhere where you don't want to go. For Halloween, for our college students and for our young adults, I give the same advice that I would for any party atmosphere. Please drink responsibly. Make sure that you have a designated driver. Be careful before you go out. A lot of people like to drink heavily before they even get out to the bars and then drink more. That's putting you at a high risk for being victimized and also just getting very ill. Criminals don't go away on Halloween night. In fact, criminals never go away. I think that there's even a potential for there to be more criminals out because they're looking for those victims that are going to be out and about. On Halloween night, the Gainesville Police Department makes sure to have extra officers out patrolling. Just look out for the trick-or-treaters and come up and talk to them. Some of us actually have candy that we like to give out to the kids.
And that wraps up this episode of Gainesville PD On Duty. Be sure to find us online on Facebook or Twitter or by visiting our website at gainesvillepd.org. You can learn more about the Gainesville Police Department and even watch previous episodes.
We are always looking for new topics to share with you on the show, so please let us know what areas of the department you'd like to see featured. As you can see, viewer comments got me back on the show, so Ben does listen to you.
That's right, Lisa. Who knows what our viewers will suggest for next month. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon for another episode of Gainesville PD On Duty.
I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as public trust to be held, so long as I am true to the ethics of the police service. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideals, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement.
Burglaries and robberies have become serious concerns in our city. This crime is referred to as a crime of opportunity because most criminals look for the path of least resistance. Protect yourself. Don't become a target. Lock your doors and keep expensive items out of plain view.
For crime prevention information, go to GainesvillePD.org or call the Gainesville Police Department's Crime Prevention Office at 334-2479. Protect yourself. Don't become a
He said to me, Mom, I want to get a bike. And I said, Tom, I don't want you to get a bike. Something happens to you, I don't think I can go on. And he said, Mom, nothing's going to happen. He was a safe driver. He wore all the gear, but was a bike, so they're just not safe. You just don't have metal around you.